This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, let's get into it, everybody. As we roll into the Mailbag show here on this Friday, the 7th day of March, 2025, we're going to get into those emails, and we're going to do that, right now. What are we waiting for? Let's get to James from Scotland. As always, guys, patrons get priority. You can go to patreon.com/WWE Podcast and get an ad-free experience, as well as a priority placement in this show for all mailbags. All right. So he says, I thought Elimination Chamber was very good. For me, it's probably the best PLE under Triple H's regime thus far. The best matches of the night have to be Sammy versus KO. Some of the spots they did were incredible and even made me wince at times. I totally agree. There were some spots that I was, and as expected, genuinely concerned for the safety of those two human beings as people. Not performers, not who's the good and bad guy. As just humans. As people. As fathers. As brothers. As whatever else that they have outside of wrestling. That's where I kind of landed. Is just, damn, guys. The apron shots. The buckle, or the not the buckle bombs, but the apron power bombs that KO does. He did multiple of them. The table spots, the things they did through the steel chairs. My God. Yeah, it was one of the best matches I've seen all year, and maybe it's on my top, I don't know, probably top 15, 20 list of matches I've seen all time in my mind. It's just incredible. Incredible. Okay, the Cena heel turn was also great. I think we'll see much more fun and interesting John Cena over the next 8 months, and then he'll turn face before his final match. I do wonder, does John Cena go out as heel? I know you're suggesting face, and that seems logical. That seems like the logical, definitely the logical finale for John Cena is to go out with his babyface music, prior to the heel turn. So we'll get a nice fun 8 months, and then the final month he'll turn babyface. Yeah, it makes sense. Why not? I think that makes sense. But what if he decides to go out as a heel? Why not? At this point, here's what I've learned about the Triple H regime, especially when it comes to this storyline in particular. You can't rule anything out. And that's a change from where we were, especially with Vince McMahon. You kind of knew where they were going. They'd throw you a curveball every now and then, but sometimes the curveballs made no sense. There was seemingly no long-term booking at all going on, at least that we could see. So I wouldn't put it past where this creative team is and where Triple H is leading them, and where Nick Khan seems to be, and even the owners of TKO seem to be in lockstep with what Triple H is trying to do with his vision, which is, let's kind of blow things up, guys. Let's not just go with the norm. Let's think outside the box. Let's get all ideas on the table. I like that. I really do. And it's showing itself here, so I really can't put anything off the table with what Triple H is doing, which becomes much more fun as a fan. It becomes much more fun as a fan when you thinking are what we normally have been trained to think like as fans for 30 years, and then all of a sudden Triple H comes along, and all of a sudden, he's just doing these things that at the time don't make sense. Not everything works out, but I like the idea that, especially with big storylines, that what we think could happen often doesn't, or at least doesn't happen in the way we think it will. And then they get there, and then it was just a setup for what they really want to do, which is whatever, it just keeps going. It's a fun time to be a fan. All right. You say, I'm going to Raw in Glasgow in a few weeks. This will be my third live show after attending Raw and SmackDown in Glasgow in 2016 before Survivor Series. If you remember, the shows were promo heavy, and oh my God, we had James Ellsworth, named as captain of Team SmackDown. So really looking forward to this Raw coming. All the best, James. Thanks, James. Hope all's well across the pond in Scotland there. And I really would love to visit Scotland. I have to say, I see so many videos, TikToks, YouTube shorts, longer form videos on YouTube that show Scotland and its landscape and history. And I don't know. I would love to go. I'd absolutely love to go. So I have to ask James, the next time you write in, as a tourist, if I ever were to come, number one, would you actually recommend it? You live there, right? So as a tourist, if I were ever to go, where would you recommend I go if I'm spending a week there? I'm very interested to talk to somebody who actually lives there. So, all right. Yeah. So James Ellsworth, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. I think that'll be a little bit different of a show from your 9 years ago show before Survivor Series. No doubt about it. We are a far cry from James Ellsworth and having him hand Carmella the victory on multiple occasions for the Money in the Bank Women's Ladder match and other times. And definitely a different show, much better show, I would hope. But I hope you have fun in Glasgow at Raw, and definitely be loud if you need to be, and boo Cody Rhodes if he's there. Because I know sometimes most of the time he's not showing up on Raw. So, and the one thing with Carmella, now she has, I will say now that we're kind of loosely talking about Carmella with the James Ellsworth connection here, she has recently come out and she got released by WWE. She hasn't been active in the company in ring in 2 years. The company was graciously paying her for 2 years to be inactive. And she's somehow, this is kind of going viral. She has decided to blame the fact that she got fired because she's a woman and decided to have a baby. No. Now I know she's trying to victimize herself, but here's what I'd say. The company is under no obligation to anyone to pay them if they do not perform. They have no obligation to do so. They have no moral duty to pay you, man or woman. Does it sometimes depend on how big of a star you are and how valuable you are to the company? Yes. I'm not saying everyone's treated equal, just like everyone's not paid equally, because the value fluctuates from person to person. It is a talent-driven business. And when they're not getting anything out of the talent that you are, and they haven't gotten it for a while, and they see no potential future for you, even if you do decide to return, guess what they do? Just like any company, they let you go. So she can blame it on whatever she wants to, because I'm a woman, which is a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of nonsense that they decided to do that. Why don't you talk to Alexa Bliss, who is close to the same time frame gone, except they see more value in her. So kind of weird that if they have some kind of bias against women and not paying them, that they decide to just bring back Alexa Bliss after a long hiatus. She also had a baby and decided to come back. And that's what they decided to do because she is, in their eyes, more valuable to the company. They have more creative in mind for her. And I don't think anyone would argue Alexa Bliss is a bigger star than Carmella was. Carmella had a fun run as champion. I'm not going to lie. She over-delivered. She did. I don't think it also helped that Corey Graves has been on bad terms with WWE, reportedly. It doesn't help that he feels that apparently the company told Corey that he's not a big enough of a star, that he doesn't have enough brand value or something. There's some weird stuff going on with WWE and Corey Graves We'll have to get it all sorted out as things move along and more information comes out. But it doesn't help when your husband is also on bad terms with the company that they release you. I mean, so again, I think it's her unable to come to the grips with the fact that the company just doesn't see value in her moving forward. And she should, I'll get the pronoun right. She should be grateful that the company decided to pay her at all while she wasn't performing. That's not required. Okay. They don't have a union. They never will have a union. Okay. They're working as independent contractors, still not as employees of the company. And therefore you aren't granted just immutable birthrights of being an independent contractor of the company. You're not, so you don't get those benefits. And also, again, you're a private organization. Yeah, in other words, you may be publicly traded, but you're not a governmental agency with a large union to back you. You're not a government employee. You're not a public sector civil servant. You don't have a collective bargaining agreement that you can lean back on. They can do what they want, and they have the legal right to do it. So I wanted to weigh in on that. I'll get off of it. But since Ellsworth was mentioned and Carmella's going on her, I'm a woman and I was victimized by the company tour, which is apparently how she's come to the conclusion that she was fired is because she's a woman and had a baby. They're punishing her for having a baby. I'd love the evidence for that other than just she happens to have a baby and she's also a woman. That's her entire case, which of course has no merit whatsoever. Whatever. Okay. I just wanted to get on that. I'm sure some of you out there disagree with me, but again, where's the evidence on that exactly? And if they really felt that way, why would they have paid her for 2 years again? Explain that. And don't give me they had a contract with her. They could have just, decided to, leave the contract. There are clauses in the contract that allow WWE to get out of that contract and not pay it if there is a certain amount of time that the wrestler can't perform. You don't think WWE builds in that legalese in there that protects themselves from paying for something they're not getting anything from? An asset that's not delivering in any capacity for a certain number of time? You don't think they could? Of course they could. But they decided to honor her contract and then not renew it. That's it. They didn't punish her. She can view it as that because she has this need to be a victim to cover the fact that she just doesn't have any value according to WWE from a professional standpoint. That's all this was in my mind. So I don't know. Let me hear what you guys' thoughts are on that. And I'm sure I'll get some fun feedback. Okay. Thank you, James. All right, DJ, what you got for me? He says, I am sending this early Friday morning because hopefully it makes it in time. And it's a couple days after Elimination Chamber. I still can't believe what I saw in John Cena aligning with the final boss and Travis Scott. There were probably hints of Cena turning heel months ago, like the hint of Cena's face on the production truck while the final boss was beating up Cody mercilessly in the rain last year on a Monday Night Raw, or the hint that last year's WrestleMania during Night 2 match of Cody versus Roman when The Rock had a face-off with Cena, which led to a rock bottom. Well, that would actually kind of disprove your point, though, DJ, because if they saw the heel turn coming then, why would the rock bottom have happened? If they're aligned, that's, I guess you could say, well, I'll just take the hit, brother. We have a year-long story. Next year you'll be turning heel. I don't think they thought out that far. But the rock bottom doesn't, they had interaction at WrestleMania, but that's a negative reaction or interaction, not a positive one. But okay, with those hints and so much more, I try not to wrap my brain around those things when I'm expressing a moment in time. I did not get to witness watching live in 96 when Hogan aligned with the Outsiders to form what would become the MWO, but this moment of Cena, Travis, and the final boss comes really close to the Hogan heel turn. I think it does. Again, we have to keep in mind, just like any time there's a reaction from a big moment on any PLE, for as long as you've been watching wrestling, the freshest memory sometimes is over dramatized. Sometimes we need to be careful of that, where we're in the moment of emotion of reacting to that particular thing. And when it's fresh and it just happened, it sometimes can be, you can over dramatize it. And then when you look back, maybe in 5-10 years, you're like, oh, well, actually it wasn't as big as whatever. I don't think that's the case in this particular moment, though, like in so many, because this is, I believe it is, I think it went in, it's an official Guinness World Record for the longest babyface run before a heel turn. And is 23 years? So quite striking. You have some people who weren't even born that went to this event live and saw a heel turn for a guy they never even remember as a heel ever, which again, he did at the beginning of Dr. Thugonomics. It did happen back in 2002, in early 2003. He was a heel technically that very quickly shifted to babyface. But if we're being real here, again, if you are 23 years old, right, imagine you're a 23-year-old and, your entire life, since you were an infant coming out of your mother's womb, John Cena has been a babyface. You're 23 years old sitting there. That's a hell of a long time. Now, John Cena has not been active full-time that amount of time. He stopped being full-time, 10 years ago. So, yeah, okay, fine. But anytime he did come back, he was always a babyface. This is a big deal. That's a big deal. So, again, I don't want to overstate this. I think it is on the level of Hogan. Now, is Hogan a bigger star than John Cena? That's a hell of a debate. You can argue why he is or isn't, and how you measure who's big or who's not, and dollars and crowd reaction and pay-per-view buys and all that kind of stuff. You could get into the nitty-gritty metrics, but just kind of standing back, looking at this kind of from a world view, like as big of a picture as I can here, it is on par with that. Now, is it as unexpected? I don't know, because a lot of people talked about it. I know that Triple H in his press conference said, no one saw this coming. No, we didn't. No one was saying that. Yeah, there were trips. Yes, there was. There were people saying this is a possibility. Now, many people didn't say that because it was a possibility that was going to happen, but it was floated as a reality that could happen. And lo and behold, here we are. Holy crap. So, a moment that no doubt is going to live and be talked about for a long time. The only downside to this, and I mentioned this on my last show, I'm not trying to pour cold water on this whole thing. Again, was well done. As unexpected as things could be unexpected in today's world. It sucks that he's only got 8 months to do this. It does. Because I think it would have been more impactful if it happened when he was more full-time. Or at least closer to full-time. It would have been much more impactful than just kind of, it feels very much like, oh, okay, well, I guess we'll do it. It's now or never, guys. We'll just do it for a few months and see what it's like and have some fun. It would have been much more impactful if that was the case. Or what if John Cena never announced that this was his final year? You would have no idea how long he's back for. You could be like, holy crap, maybe he's back for another couple of years. But the fact that you have an actual countdown clock on how long John Cena is going to be here does kind of suck. It takes a little bit of the impact away, where Hogan was able to capitalize on that heel turn for years. It made a boatload of money for it. Made a boatload of money for WCW, for Kevin Nash, for Scott Hall, obviously, for the merch, pay-per-view buys. They were a big part of the reason why they kicked WWE's ass, WWF's ass at the time, for 86 weeks. They made a massive impact for years. Until, they even debuted in WWE in 2002. All right, so they had a long-lasting impact. Whereas John Cena's heel turn, has an expiration date. I'm not trying to discourage you from being excited about this, but I'm a realist. And as big as this moment was, and I don't disagree with it at all, I love it, I just also go, awesome. Oh, that's right. John Cena's super limited on his appearances. He's only probably got like 20 some left that has to be stretched out over 8 months. Cool. Like, that's the downside of this. And what will really open up the eyes of people in the company, especially those that maybe decided not to turn John Cena heel. What if this turns out to be one of the most successful runs John Cena's ever had? You must be kicking yourself going, damn, what if we were able to do this when it was 15 years ago? And John Cena and The Rock were, in the middle of their program at WrestleMania 27. And damn, what if we were able to do this and really make some money on this? Instead of if we don't do it now, we'll never do it. It's a now or never thing. We've only got this much time. So again, I'm still glad it happened. It's better that it happened than it didn't. But if you're looking at this from, you want to be a pessimist, it's, man, but we only have this much time left. There's a countdown clock on his retirement, and his dates are super limited. So, okay, keep going. So a few things. I missed it here. Not to jump to conclusions, but does Cena in night 2 of WrestleMania defeat Cody to become the 17th time world champion? Boy, I really don't know that yet. I'm not trying to punt on the answer until I see how things shake out with Cena and The Rock, and is there a third member, and who comes to the aid of Cody? If nobody does again, Stone Cold, we'll get to that. I know people are, even in the comments of some of my videos, they're talking about how why am I talking about Stone Cold? You spend so much time. Because there's a reason. There's a reason for that. I'll get to it. But I can't answer that question. I don't want to predict yet. Also, what are the odds of if CM Punk gets included in that night 2 match to form what WWE loves to have, a good old-fashioned triple threat? No. Now, I don't want that to happen simply for the fact that the CM Punk I don't think is needed here. However, with CM Punk mentioning John Cena in his viral promo that he cut on Raw, which is just really good, he did say he'd see him down the road. He did call out The Rock and Cena. It looks like he could be the one to call in the favor for Heyman to put him in that main event for WrestleMania. That does seem more likely. And CM Punk and Cody could definitely be in a triple threat, no doubt about it, with John Cena, which would be fun. And here's the benefit too. If I'm John Cena, I'm thinking, all right, I'm still in good shape for 50, right? He's almost 50. He's got to be. Like, I'm in good shape, but I'm in good shape for 50. Am I in good shape enough to really hold a WrestleMania main event? It takes some of the pressure off of Cena, takes some of the workload off of Cena if there's another guy. And it makes sense from a storyline standpoint that you have CM Punk in there. There's unfinished business, a long history with John Cena and CM Punk. You have history with CM Punk and Roman Reigns, who also could somehow be involved in this. CM Punk and The Rock have a history. Everything seems to nicely be woven in. I just don't like it only because it's a triple threat for a main event, and I like one-on-ones. That's really the only thing I have to say about that. Okay. During the Elimination Chamber, I mentioned in the Discord, what if the final boss is planning to create some sort of cult-like stable and convince others to sell their soul? I know with the final boss schedule being what it is, busy, and him not making regular appearances, what if his daughter, the general manager of NXT, was secretly part of his final boss stable and has already recruited some stars from NXT that could sell their soul to the final boss and do his bidding? Well, I think you answered your own question, DJ, because his schedule wouldn't allow it. I mean, with The Rock here once a month now at best, maybe once every now we're into WrestleMania. We're really in the thick of WrestleMania season. WrestleMania is only about 5-6 weeks away. You're going to have The Rock probably here every 3 weeks, maybe every other week if we're real lucky, but probably every 3 which means he'll have two, maybe probably three more appearances before WrestleMania. I don't think there's need to muddy the waters for that. There's enough story to tell already. It's a cool concept and one that would work. But is the timing right? I mean, that's a timing for after WrestleMania. There's a storyline you could pose for after Mania. Cody obviously rejected him, and you have other people willing to sell their soul. Also, I don't want too many people to get involved in that. You got to be careful of that. It's like the NWO. I could see where too many people are trying to sell their souls, and it just becomes like, oh, okay, you're another one. You're another one. It just becomes less and less valuable when more people join. Right now, they've got enough story to tell. And one more thing I want to comment too that you're reminding me of. Some people are saying, I think it was Jeff Jarrett who commented that there wasn't any need for Cody to say the F word on television. I would disagree. I would disagree with that. Now, I'm not saying profanity for profanity's sake is impactful or there's, a need for it. There's not. But in that moment, it's the perfect thing to say for a guy that has also been looked at as this soft, cushy, family-friendly champion to suddenly going, oh, damn. It made the moment unforgettable. And they can also bleep it out. They've already bleeped that out on WWE's YouTube page. Okay? But in the moment, you're thinking, oh my God. It makes the moment more shocking because I don't know the last time I heard that word on WWE television, at least purposefully, right? Sometimes you hear it in the off camera, the camera mic catches it or something like that. You'll hear it. I've never heard it said as clear and as purposeful as that moment. But some people, I disagree with Jeff Jarrett completely on that. Now, I don't want to hear it on a weekly basis. I don't want this just being a part of the language for programs that are intense. No, I don't want to hear it. Maybe if I never hear it again on WWE television, I won't be sad. It's not something that's just like, oh, cool. Now we can, the seal's been broken. Go ahead and use it, guys. Anytime there's a PLE, go for it. No. But in that moment, for someone to say that to The Rock, for John Cena to turn, hell yeah. I mean, it was a perfect thing to say. So, a few things to say about the Chamber. When Cody said, I want all Rock, I want it all Rock, I almost thought that Cody was going to accept the boss's final offer. Just to look at Cody's facial when he said it. It does kind of teeter on heel Cody, but I guess not yet. Yeah, not yet. I was hoping for a Cody heel turn too, and hey, we could still see it at WrestleMania. Again, going back to what my point was at the beginning, we can't put anything past Triple H, clearly, and The Rock. They are in charge of things here, and they have a different view of how wrestling's going, and we're seeing it now. I wouldn't put it past any, which is great. Anything's possible. So I would say no, not yet, but if it's going to happen, it would happen at WrestleMania. How they all tie that together, we don't know. But in all reality, it probably doesn't happen until sometime maybe next year, WrestleMania 43 in New Orleans. Or 42 in New Orleans. Okay, I don't know if anyone noticed this, but during the Women's Chamber match, when Jade made her return, Naomi and Bianca briefly made eye contact. Yes, I saw that. My assumption is that she knew she was coming, and that, in my opinion, Naomi was not merely the one that attacked Jade. From the looks of Jade's attack, it looked like Naomi was the sacrificial lamb and the scapegoat to take the fall for Bianca so that Bianca could win the Chamber. Plus, it seems to me that Bianca was the one behind the whole Jade Cargill attack, and that she recruited both Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson from NXT to join Naomi in the Jade Cargill attack. Because not to get too much into the weeds, and from a logical sense, one person could not have attacked Jade. She's a massive woman, and Jade could have fought off the perpetrator. So my suspicion is that Bianca is the mastermind, Naomi's the sacrificial lamb, and Lash Legend alongside Jakara Jackson are the ones that joined Naomi in the Jade Cargill beatdown. This could be the seeds of Bianca Belair heel turn, forming a group at or before Mania, but my only concern is, can a babyface Jade Cargill make the fans believe that this storyline is worth investing? That's great analysis, DJ. My short answer to that is, based on what I saw on SmackDown. Now, I'm kind of cheating because I have knowledge of SmackDown a little bit. And spoiler alert, if anybody doesn't want to hear what happened on SmackDown, you've been warned. Okay. Naomi did confess to attacking Jade, and there was no seemingly any kind of weird interaction between Bianca and Naomi that would lead you to believe that Naomi didn't act alone and Bianca is the mastermind. Now, I like it. In fact, I think it's a much more fun story, but it's not going to happen. And the reason is they're going with Io Sky right now, right? They're going to go with Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley. I still believe that Bianca Belair is going to be pulled into Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. And if you're going to do that, you can't have her also being worried about Jade and Naomi. Now, it depends on the placement of the show, where exactly this happens. Maybe the Jade Cargill versus Naomi match, if that happens at WrestleMania, again, that's another if, maybe Bianca turns heel there before her match in the presumed triple threat with Rhea and Io. And then you have a massively heel Bianca taking on a pretty solid babyface in Io and a mega babyface in Rhea Ripley. Because in that match, there are no babyfaces. I'm sorry, no heels. There's no heels in that match. You got to have somebody as the, as you said, the scapegoat. You got to have somebody as the bad guy. So perhaps Bianca does turn, as I debate myself, in that match, or in a presumed match between Jade and Naomi, which happens prior to WrestleMania. You have Bianca show her true colors. She's the one to be the mastermind. You know what? I like it, DJ. I said it wasn't going to happen, but only in the scenario that if Jade and Naomi have a match at WrestleMania, if that match is after the women's triple threat that presumably happens. Again, so many assumptions because nothing's official yet. But boy, okay. Always fun when I debate myself, and I'm sure it's fun to listen to. Okay, 3. Does Stone Cold Steve Austin accept the call and the money from WWE to join Cody, Punk, and even Roman at WrestleMania 41 in an attempt to take down the final boss and heel Cena? Sorry for the long email. After having a decent amount of sleep Thursday night, waking up on a Friday morning and having all these ideas rushing through my mind, I had to mention some in the email. Well, thank you, DJ. Yeah, I know, I get it. It's that's what this is here for. Let me talk about Austin. The reason I talk about him is he has been hinted like a few times now, especially in backstage segments. The Rock even mentioned him on air. With Austin's face plastered on a production truck, Austin in Rock in a backstage segment tapped on the image of Austin on the truck and said, "That's the Rock's boy." And yes, John Cena was also shown in the backstage, background, and look what's come of him. He's turned. Do I think Austin gets in the ring for a match? No. But I've told you this, you, the collective audience, Austin was perfectly positioned to come out at last year's WrestleMania. And again, Austin says he had a previous scheduling conflict, which is a bunch of nonsense. It's money. And that's what the reports have been. It's simply money that Austin... What's Austin going to say, though? Nah, WWE didn't offer me enough. I'm worth more than what they offered me. He can't say that. Of course he's not going to say that. It'll make him look like a greedy... Right? You can't say that. So he's going to go with family. I had a previous commitment. Fine. Right? It came down to apparently money. And I believe it's 100% money that he didn't show up. But The Undertaker obviously decided to take his place. This year, The Rock is once again going to be involved in the main event, probably not in a wrestling capacity, but in a interference capacity, likely after Cody puts down John Cena. He's about to win the title. Here comes The Rock. Rock bottom on Cody, low blow or a cheap shot. And then he gets the advantage, beats down Cody. And then Cena gets up. They're both beating him down. The referee's down. And then here comes Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, you can't tell me that doesn't fit perfectly, especially considering that Austin and The Rock are natural rivals. They have a long history at WrestleMania. It makes perfect sense. I don't think Austin's going to be in a match. He also recently got his knee completely replaced or something. He had major knee surgery just a couple of months ago. So he's not ready for a match in any way, but I think he's totally ready for a couple of stunners and some beer and to help Cody retain. So I see stunners on Cena. I see a stunner on The Rock. And it's going to be epic. Austin, I think, is going to have a major impact at this year's WrestleMania. And if it doesn't happen, then fine. You guys can call me out on it. And I was right last year, and just till things fell through. And money was the problem. So I think Austin will be involved, and he'll be there to save the day for Cody Rhodes, who gets a 3-on-1 beatdown or something like that, and some kind of unfair advantage. And if Punk's there too, maybe some underhanded tactics take place and Punk's down. Everybody's down except The Rock, who's out there beating ass, and here comes Stone Cold. That's what's going to happen in my mind. Thank you, DJ. All right, let's go to our weekly report here, and then I know we have more patron email. I'll get to that. So this is from Kay, and Kay from Toronto, and he says, SmackDown, Tiff and Trish come out in Leaf jerseys. That was awesome. I live in Toronto, and I'm a rabid Leaf fan. Chelsea and Piper, the Mountie, were fabulous. Those four might be the next feud if Tiffy loses to the Queen. Nia and Charlotte are getting boring in my humble opinion. Everything else was good. For the Chamber, the best pay-per-view in years. So awesome. I would agree. I mean, that was just fantastic. Fantastic. Like I said, that was a PLE that I will remember for a long time. And not just because of the Cena heel turn. The women's match, the Jade return was great, equally expected, and Bianca Belair winning was not a surprise. Wish Alexa had won, but soon. Yeah, I think she's got big plans too. I'm not worried about Alexa. I'm really not. Tiff and Trishy's match was predictable yet entertaining. Owens and Zayn was old school as it gets, vintage brutality, so good, and Orton after was awesome. Yeah, we're not even talking about Orton. I said that in my review of Chamber. I feel bad for Orton. No one's talking about him. Just like when Punk returned at Survivor Series 2023, and so did Orton, and guess who everyone's talking about? CM Punk. Orton can't catch a break. But, yeah, it was just awesome. I mean, just an incredible match. The men's match, to me, personally, was never in doubt, but it was really good. Then, the only way I can describe what happened next is jaw-dropping. Since Hogan and WCW, nothing was this shocking. I can't stand Cena or Cody, but Triple H, this was genius. And then for Raw, Punk, another I don't like, was great. He and Rollins are solid. Braun Breaker will keep rising. Rhea losing to Io was not a shock, as they are 100% setting up for a three-way at WrestleMania. Overall, an excellent show. Thank you as always. Cheers from Toronto. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, and appreciate the rundown. All right, let's go back to somebody inside of Patreon, and we are going to... Let's talk with Jeff. And Jeff says, hey, Matt and WWE podcast fans, what a week. I feel like so much more has happened this week in WWE alone than the past year since WrestleMania. Chamber was great. Raw was fantastic. I'm glad that they're starting to surprise us more. Wrestling, I feel, is so predictable now. It's nice to be surprised once in a while. I do want to talk about the whole Cena turn quick. I feel like it could have done without Travis Scott attacking Cody. Like, what does that do for the story? It makes no sense. Plus, he actually hurt Cody from reports going around. I just thought that punch didn't have to happen. Another thing about the heel turn, I also feel like there's no reason to show it 500 times in one night to the point where everyone is going to get sick of it already. First of all, yeah, Travis Scott, I understand some of you may like his music. I don't, that's irrelevant. All right. His music is totally irrelevant to him being in WWE as far as a wrestling fan's perspective. He looked like a little brother out of place. I don't care how big of a rap music star he is. I don't give a damn. I really truly hope that he gets a Braun Breaker, I show speed or whatever his name is. He deserves that type of spear. I understand The Rock told him to make his punch look good, but there's a difference between making your punch look good and actually hurting talent. And if you watch that punch, that was an actual punch to the face. Not needed. I don't know if anyone actually authorized that. I very much doubt it. You're not going to put your top talent in jeopardy like that. I mean, you could have concussed him. Travis Scott's an embarrassment to professional wrestling. He does not need to be there. He takes away from the segment. I don't care about his music because his music isn't what this storyline's about. I don't care what celebrity was in there, really. He deserves a Braun Breaker spear. I really want to nominate. Can we sign a petition somewhere? Can we start a petition for Braun Breaker to spear Travis Scott and not hold back? Like, actually spear him. Do what he did to I Show Speed. Right? Please. I want that result for Travis Scott. Yeah. And also, if they told him make it look good, but if I'm Travis Scott and I'm like, oh, I want to make it look good, but I'm worried I'm going to hurt the talent, I'd rather throw a really crappy punch than throw a really good punch that actually could put the health of the talent in jeopardy and hurt somebody. But he did what he did, and I hope a receipt's coming. I hope Cody isn't sitting backstage going, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? He wanted to make it look good, and it looked good, so that's all that matters. No. He's an outsider, completely disrespectful. All right, because if you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't do it. He deserves a receipt. So I hope Travis Scott is a part of the story here moving forward. I hope he's part of that little faction that The Rock's starting here, because Travis Scott is owed one. And I hope Cody doesn't just sit and go, well, shucks, things happen. This isn't ballet. No. He's not an actual performer. Wrestlers hurt each other by accident all the time. I'm not saying in a paralyzing way. I'm saying bumps, bruises, actual connection with the face. That happens. Okay? But there's a different level of respect that wrestlers have for one another who are wrestlers, right? If you're in the ring and you are in the ring with somebody who has dedicated their lives just as you have to a profession that you love, it's a different kind of respect and understanding when things happen. But when you have somebody from an outside the realm of wrestling come in and injure somebody, they are due a receipt. So Cody, take your little family friendly, soft, smiling, bleach blonde hat off for just a minute. Put that aside. You can put that back on anytime you want. Think about this from a respect perspective here. It's about respecting the business. Travis Scott's owed one. I'm not saying go out and kick his head off. I'm not saying go out and, actually put him in a wheelchair. I'm not advocating for that. I'm advocating for doing exactly what he did to you. That's a receipt. That's all it is. Eye for an eye. That's it. That's it. And then say, oh, well, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. What's he going to do? The answer is nothing. Oh, I wanted to get that out. So, all right. Everyone's saying it's the most shocking turn in history. I beg to differ with Cena. Seems like everyone's forgetting that Austin turned and joined the biggest enemy for years with Vince at WrestleMania. Good point. That to me was shocking. Absolutely no one knew. Also about Austin and WrestleMania, he just did an interview where he had said he had brand new knees and is ready to go at any moment. I did not see that part. Thank you. With him living in Vegas, I really do see him coming out to help Cody. I don't see this Cena turn lasting long, maybe up to WrestleMania. maybe have him lose at Mania. Rock gets mad and attacks him, turning him face. So many possibilities. Cannot wait to see how the next couple weeks shape up. Matt, we should do a live stream chat, maybe WrestleMania with you, or a live results show Discord. Yeah, that may not be a bad idea. I've been toying around the live Discord or live streaming for a while, and I know a lot of people would love that, and I'm gonna have to build that into my schedule. And I don't mean that in as my time's so valuable. Everyone's time is valuable, but just like everyone's got lives and a schedule and everything else, so I'll have to figure things out. I'd love to do it just on a regular basis. So stay tuned for that. But, Austin coming out just makes perfect sense. It's just there. Like you said, in Vegas. I love your point about Austin and McMahon. I don't know how that one escaped my mind, but because everyone's equating it to Hogan turning. Austin aligning with Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 17. Yeah. It didn't work out. It was weird. No one wanted to boo Austin. See that? I think that's probably what is blinding people from that analogy, is that no one wanted that. That's the difference. Like with Cena, people have been calling for Cena to turn heel forever. Forever. Just like with Roman Reigns, you never thought it would happen. And then what's the tagline for the PLE he turned? Vince McMahon, give him credit, as the PLE came up, the tagline was you'll never see it coming. And that meant here comes Roman's heel turn. And we got it. And that was big. But with Cena, we wanted it and we got it and it was successful. With Cena, people wanted it, seemingly never got it until the very, very, very tip of the end of his career. Now we have it. And I think people are going to embrace it. From what I understand, he's getting booed, not cheered at SmackDown. That's a good thing. But with Austin, as big as it was and shocking as that was, it wasn't successful. People rejected it. They booed Austin at times, but it was more of booing in disappointment than in hatred for the character. People just cannot hate Stone Cold Steve Austin. We can't do it. We're not physically capable of doing it. So that's the difference. It was just pretty much rejected. And Austin gave it everything he had. He even doubled down on the heel turn. Remember when he aligned with Vince at WrestleMania 17, but then he seemingly brought the old Stone Cold back to fight the alliance. And then he turned on Kurt Angle and joined WCW. So they tried to double down on it, but that still didn't work. So yeah, anyway, good analogy though. Thank you, Jeff. All right, let's get to a voicemail or two and call it a night.
This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record to you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name, as I take you to my 34th episode of the Joe Hendry Report. And like always, coming to you live from an undisclosed location. Before we start the show, I must mention two things. And the first thing is, shout out to everybody that was in the Discord chat this past Saturday for Elimination Chamber, as we got to witness the epic heel turn of John Cena and his alignment with The Rock, aka the Final Boss, and Travis Scott. What's going on with that picture? But I must mention these guys. I must mention Dino from Scotland, Jeff T, Darren, and Maverick as we fantasy booked Joe Hendry. This took place during the course of the, I guess you could say, bathroom break of a women's tag team match of Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus versus Candice LeRae and Nia Jax. We fantasy booked our guy, Joe Hendry, to be a part of the men's elimination chamber. And our idea was kind of similar to when Sting, the old school Sting from WCW Nitro, we had none other than Joe Hendry coming from the Raptors with a guitar in hand to come into the Elimination Chamber as the 7th entrant. The mystery 7th entrant is Joe Hendry. That would have been awesome, and he would have been going toe-to-toe with Drew McIntyre, with Seth freaking Rollins, with Logan Paul, and a newly heel-turned John Cena. But anyway, that didn't happen. Hopefully we'll get to see that mashup of John Cena, heel-turned John Cena, versus Joe Hendry at Slammiversary, or maybe some other PLE down the road. Let's see. But anyway, my second thing I want to mention is that next week, Tuesday, live from the theater of Madison Square Garden. I will be going to my first ever NXT show. This will be NXT Roadblock, their televised PLE, and I'm going to get to witness the collaboration of TNA and NXT in Madison Square Garden, the theater at Madison Square Garden. So if you're going to be there, if you're going to be in New York City, maybe we can meet up. But anyway, this should be a great time to get to see NXT live. This will be my first WWE show since 2020, before the pandemic, that I was able to see a Monday Night Raw episode before the pandemic. And now I'm getting to see my first NXT show in New York City at the theater at Madison Square Garden. That will be happening next week, Tuesday. I believe it's March 11th, 2025. Anyway, let's get to the 34th episode of the Judge Report, as all roads are now leading to TNA Sacrifice. That will be happening Friday, next week Friday, March 14th, live from El Paso, Texas. On this episode of TNA Pro Wrestling, we had Joe Hendry and Elijah help none other than the Hardys and the NXT champion Oba Femi get some comeuppance after they got beaten down in their main event loss to the System of Moose, Eddie Edwards, and Brian Myers. Now, it was announced by Santino Marella, the Director of Authority, that there will be a 10-man tag team match that will be happening at TNA Sacrifice for next week Friday, which will include Joe Hendry, Elijah, Matt Hardy, but who will be the other two, as they are now going up against the System with their 5 members, and the Colon brothers, who are now collaborating with Moose and the rest of the members of the System. Whatever the case may be, let's see who Joe Hendry will recruit next on the next episode of TNA Pro Wrestling, because it should be some exciting times as we get ready for TNA Sacrifice. So always remember to believe, say his name, and he appears. Always remember the words that Joe Hendry says, anytime, any place, at any show. And most importantly, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe, and peace.
Appreciate it as always, DJ, and you should be in for a hell of a show with Madison Square Garden. I expect a massive show, not just for NXT Roadblock, but also Raw. It's going to be epic. I mean, I shouldn't say epic, probably too strong of a word. Noteworthy. Let's tone it down. Probably very noteworthy is going to be both NXT Roadblock, and it's cool that they brought Roadblock back. That used to just be a typical PLE for a couple of years. I think it was Roadblock, Fastlane. That was always kind of the in-between PLEs of Chamber and Mania. So yeah, cool. I think you'll have a good time, and I wish I could be there as well, but life calls. I can't. So I am really jealous, and you'll have to let me know how it goes in next week's report. And thank you for keeping us always updated on Joe Hendry, who we're all eagerly awaiting for him to, I think, just come to the damn main roster. You know, I think that a lot of the main roster fans are just like, come on, man, let's go. You know, we see a big star in you. Let's have some fun. But I think he might have an impact at WrestleMania, but more importantly, after WrestleMania. So thank you, DJ. Enjoy the show.
Hey, it's Kyle for Baltimore. So a few things about the Women's Chamber that I kind of enjoyed and was like, we'll see how this is going to play out. I enjoyed the fact that twice now Liv eliminated Alexa at the Royal Rumble, and then now she eliminated Alexa in the Chamber. So now I'm thinking now for WrestleMania that it's going to be Alexa and Nikki Cross versus Liv and Raquel for the Tag Team Championship, because we see the glitches of Alexa joining up with the Wyatt Six. So I think that's the direction there for WrestleMania with all 4 of them. Involving Liv, not Liv, Bianca and Rhea and Io. I don't know. We'll see how it's going to play out. I would think it would be really foolish if they just have Bianca say, okay, I don't care about what happened with the Naomi J situation. I'm going to focus on Rhea Ripley, at least in the beginning. Now, I know I was done listening to the first half of your review show about Naomi and Jade, which is fine if it happens, but I don't know. I feel like Naomi's Bianca's still involved, and I hope she'll be focused on Rhea. We'll see how it's gonna play out. Guess now she's technically now on Raw moving forward, which is cool, but it would be intriguing how they're going. I still think it's going to ultimately be a triple threat match because Io is involved, and so I can't see Io being cut out of this situation because she's involved in that still. So I know people want a one-on-one match, but I'm not too sure if it's going to be that. I think Io will make it a triple threat still. And even ultimately probably have Io win ultimately at the end of the day. So this is how I feel about it. But we'll see. But I know some people want a singles match between Rhea and Bianca, which I get. But I don't know. We'll see how Bianca's going to focus her energy on Rhea and see at work how this Io factors into this, if at all, which I think she should. But we'll see. Yeah, that's it for me. We'll see where this goes with Bianca, how she's going to focus on Rhea Ripley moving forward after the attack. So we'll catch up to see what happens on Friday. But that's it. Thanks for a call. Bye.
Kyle, what's going on, man? Good to hear from you as always. And the idea, though, that Bianca and... So here's the thing. I agree that WWE is not going to cut Io out. They're not going to make her champion just to cut her out. She's involved in the main event. And you know what? From an in-ring perspective, she delivers all the time. She's there because she's so damn good in-ring. It's not her promos. It's not her music. It's not really even her personality or character, because there's not a whole lot of it that they show, or if they do, the fans aren't connected to that. They're connected to her in-ring, which is the reason why she's there. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. She's not there because she has a really deep, meaningful, layered character. She's there because she kicks ass in the ring. She's top tier of the women. She's there because of that. So I think she's in there no matter what. Bianca will make her way in. Unless they want to make it so Bianca's involved with the whole Jade and Naomi story, and they're still going to back pocket Bianca versus Rhea. And because they know they have that as a WrestleMania main event anytime they want. But this one's like right there for the taking. And if they want to add Io into it, and they're going to have to, then fine. You know, like I've conceded to that, even though I would book Rhea, Bianca one-on-one, and I've been booking that for 3 years now. And I still haven't done it. So if we're going to add Io into it and we want to do a Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and adding Charlotte Flair for no reason at the end of that deal, fine. We'll do it. But as far as your prediction that Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross team up to face Raquel and Liv, I love that. Makes perfect sense to me. Alexa hasn't yet fully joined the Wide Six, although the Wide Six haven't had any TV time in like 5 months. Feels like anyway. It's really not that. But until the Wide Six start to come back into the fold, the teases of Alexa Bliss joining or how she's going to join are going to continue to manifest in ways that may not be real. Like Alexa Bliss may not end up joining at all. It could have nothing to do with the Wide Six, but her and Nikki have a hell of a past. Alexa still is holding on to her dark past. She's still got the doll Lily. It's still that connection to Bray. Makes perfect sense to me. This one doesn't need to be overthought, and they could absolutely become women's champions, tag team champions. Although, do you really want that? Do any of us really want anyone we like to become women's tag team champions? Do we need that curse put upon anyone? It is nothing but a curse. It's a championship that cannot be valued any lower because at times they've done things to elevate them, but more often than not, they have done nothing but put them off TV, change the championships, make it hot potato. Since the moment they were brought onto this earth and won by Sasha Banks and Bayley, since that time, it has fallen off a cliff. And you've seen it bounce up at times, but then for like 2 months, you'll forget that championship even exists. And then they'll make it on free TV. They'll have like a women's tag team championship match every week. They don't know whether to crap or get off the pot with the women's tag team titles. There's really I don't think there's a whole lot of value there, but I don't know. So be careful what you wish for with the women you like wanting to become a women's tag team champion. Alrighty. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, DJ. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. Obviously, a busy week, and WrestleMania is 6-ish weeks away. So coming faster than you think, and we'll be in the middle of March. March will go by, and then we're into April, and really into WrestleMania. The final push for WrestleMania will be here before we know it, and predictions and all that kind of stuff. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We will be back on Sunday for your weekend review. Back on track there, and if you want to join us on Patreon, patreon.com/WWE podcast. Great place to do that. Is the only place to do that. Or Apple Podcasts. Click that subscribe button. Go ad free there. And check us out. So thank you so much, everybody. And we'll talk next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show. Or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.